Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's Easy Wins and Lifestyle Strategies using Nutrition to Combat Diabetes Echo Clinic. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We will go ahead, start today's session with introductions like last time. First, we will have the Hub team members or the subject matter experts introduce themselves. Then we'll go out to all of you who are joining us, have you introduce yourselves. And then we have a case from Tracy. We will review that, and then we will get on to the didactics from Carmela. So for introductions, I'll go first. My name is Sneha Sharma, and I'm the program coordinator for Project Echo Nevada. Carmela?
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Carmela Thomas, registered dietitian and certified diabetes care and education specialist with UNR Med Endocrinology Department.
Thanks, Carmela. Dr. Lavi?
Hi, everybody. My name is Mordechai Levi. I'm an internist and geriatrician. That means I specialize in the care of adults 18 over, and then also took some more training for those taking care of adults 65 and older as well. Super excited to be here with you all, in our first kind of formal session of this kind of new combating diabetes nutrition clinic. So I'm really happy to see so many of you all with your video cameras on. Really want to encourage all of you that are able to turn on your video cameras as we interact today. It really helps with our discussion, but super happy to see everybody today.
Thanks, Dr. Lavi. Also, Mari Chrysler, who is our other Hub team member, will not be able to join us. She is the medical director for First Med Health in Las Vegas. She will probably join us next session. So now we'll go out to all of you who are joining us. And first on my screen, I have Maria Montes. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Maria Montes. I am a community health worker. And what else?
Where do you work? Just your name, credentials, and where you work.
Yes, and I do a lot of projects for Dignity Health and Independent as well.
Thank you, Maria. Next, I have Aurelia. Are you there, Aurelia? Can you introduce yourself? You're on mute. You will have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
My name is Aurelia Soto. I work for Same House as a legal advocate. And I am taking this CHW at the CSN in Nevada, Las Vegas.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Lorena?
Hi, everybody. I'm Lorena Greenberg, and also like Aurelia, participating in the community health worker training right now.
Thank you so much. I have Maria's iPad. Can you unmute yourself? You are on mute. Okay, Maria, we will come back to you, but we will move on. I have Monica next.
Hello, my name is Monica Brianas, and I am a CHW, and I'm doing a project with Dignity Health.
Thank you so much, Maria. Sorry, Monica.
Monica.
I'm getting confused here.
That's okay.
Next, I have Norma.
Hi, my name is Norma. I'm a resource coordinator here in Fernley. I'm also a community health worker. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's good enough. Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry.
Tracy, can you introduce yourself? You're on mute there.
Okay, is it there?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Tracy. I work for VHS, UHS, but I'm in CSN as a community health worker.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Iris?
Hello, my name is Iris Mercadillo. I will be working at Dignity Health. and I am a CHW.
Thank you for joining us. Martha, I have somebody called Martha Arkey, maybe. If you could write into the chat box with your name, credentials, and place of work, that will really help us with our attendance, but we will move on.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Martha RC, and I'm also being in the training of for CHW at CSN.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Next, I have Pam.
Hello, everybody. I'm Pam Welch. I am a CHW for the 9 Communities Coalition in Pahrump, Nevada.
Thank you for joining us, Pam. Sabrina.
Hi, I'm Sabrina. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I work for Healthy Communities Coalition, and I am a project coordinator and currently enrolled in CHW classes.
Thank you, Sabrina. Irene, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Irene. I'm a family nurse practitioner, and I have a clinic in Henderson. It's a medical weight loss and family clinic.
Thank you for joining us, Irene. Maria, can you introduce yourself now?
Yes, yes. My name is Maria Quintana, and I'm currently enrolled at CSN, taking the training for a community health worker as well.
Thank you, Maria. Now we will move on to the case. I will pull it up from my side.
Sneha.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for pulling that up. Hi, Mordechai here. I just wanted to take a minute or so because during the orientation, we kind of skipped a little bit about the case review process. And so just wanted to take a second as we're getting kind of started today to help give everybody kind of the perspective that I wanted to share with as we kind of review the case, and really appreciate Tracy, you kind of sharing your case with us today, and then all of you that will be sharing your cases over the next few weeks. And so this case review, and so as I was listening to introductions last week and this week, here a lot of you, some of you are practicing kind of CHWs, others of you are kind of still in school, learning more about being a CHW. And so when you're thinking about your practice as a community health worker in all of the variety of ways that you're going to be serving our state, really you're going to be talking to lots of people. You're going to be hearing about their problems. Lots of these problems we're not going to know the answers to. And so ECHO is really, in our case review process, is really a way for us to talk about things where we want to kind of get input from our broader community of community health workers. Thankfully, Carmela is here too to share her expertise on nutrition. And I'm also a physician, so can kind of give my expertise and support us in that perspective. And so wanted to kind of help you all think about this as a learning process where we're here to ask questions, learn from each other, kind of create that community of learning. And with that being said, there's a structured way that we go through each of these cases, where today we'll have Tracy kind of share her case with us, do her best to kind of limit personal health information, avoid names, birthdays, sometimes occupations, because we're in sometimes rural areas of the state, so that can kind of give away what somebody does. Do our best to respect people's protected health information, and after we kind of hear the case, we'll open up for clarifying questions, and I'll walk us through this as we go through each step. But with clarifying questions, we just want to ask Tracy questions, things that we want to know more about, rather than kind of give recommendations at that point, because we want to make sure we have all of the information we need before we offer recommendations, because sometimes things have been tried before and we just need to kind of ask if those kind of things have been tried before, and if they have or haven't, we can kind of take that information, move on to the next questions until we transition to the recommendations phase, and we will kind of make it clear when we're moving on to that phase, so you all know when it's time to chime in with your thoughts from that perspective. And during the whole time, a lot of this will be focused on nutrition and diabetes, because that's what we're here for. And so Carmela will guide the discussion to make sure that we're on the right track. But just wanted to throw that out there for everybody before we get started, because this is kind of a new, I imagine this is a new concept for lots of us. And I wanted to make this the most beneficial we could by giving us the platform of how we're hoping to talk and learn over the next 5 weeks. Before I hand it back over to Sneha and Tracy, any questions that I can answer about that? It was a little verbose, or a lot of words, sorry. Well, thank you all, and I'll pass it back to Sneha.
Thank you, Dr. Lavi. I will open up the form from my side, and Tracy, you can, go on as I scroll down. You can read through the form, and you can start with your main question. Go ahead, Tracy. You're on mute. I don't know if you're trying to say something. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Do I read all of that or just what the main question is?
Dr. Lavi, what do you suggest?
Yeah, so just share your main question to start off with,
Okay.
and then kind of share all of the relevant information. If you don't want to read all of it, you can just kind of tell us what it is, and we can move on as well, and Sneha will follow you down the form.
Okay. The question would be to help a 7-year-old that has a lot of allergies. She's gained 25 pounds in the last 10 months. And she does have a few medical issues also. And where is it? And she's allergic to a lot of things. And so trying for her not to get diabetes, and with the weight, she does have dry mouth at times, and she can get really sweaty. But and if she doesn't eat like every couple hours, she says that she's tired, or she sometimes can be a little lethargic, and she's constantly drinking, constantly drinking. So I'm trying to assist with getting a food plan to help with the weight, and kind of teach, because there's so many allergies, I don't know which way to kind of go with it. Did I answer it correctly?
Yep. So I think that was good, Tracy. I think that really shares a lot of the important information. I think you did share a lot of other information here in the form, and we can kind of, as people ask questions, you can kind of clarify those. And so from here, I think your main question today, Tracy, is how do we potentially prepare a food plan for somebody with lots of allergies,
Yes.
with some recent weight gain? And so it's kind of thinking about that question. What clarifying questions do you all have for Tracy to better understand this case? And again, we'll try and hold off recommendations until the second portion. And so I'll ask Carmela just to give us a quick example of a clarifying question, and then we'll open it up to everybody else after Carmela asks one to give us an example.
All right, thanks, Tracy. Great job. And thanks for starting us off with the case presentation for today. I did have a question in regards to, is she on any medications currently?
Yes. She's on a couple psych meds. She does have anxieties, Risperidol, at bedtime, and Montelukast for the asthma, because she does have asthma, and alternate between Singulair and Zyrtec. And there's one other one. Let's see, the Montelukast. I'm trying to see what other, she's on 4 medications. I think I put those in there. Do I have that form? My form didn't print.
I think you shared 4 different names with us just now, Tracy.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Cool. So thank you, Carmela. Appreciate giving us that example of a great clarifying question there. And so normally we want you all to ask the clarifying questions before we open up to Carmela, but just wanted to give you an example of what that looks like in case we weren't sure. But so now we'll open it up to all of you all, kind of any other clarifying questions you have for Tracy to better understand this case. feel free to take yourself off mute or type into the chat.
Is the patient seeing like a therapist? I missed it. Is she seeing a therapist for the anxiety?
Yes, yes. She sees a doctor for her anxieties, and that's who prescribes the risperidone for her. Oh, and the Adderall. She's also on Adderall because she has ADD, ADHD.
Has she tried like a food therapy? I think that's what some new thing that is out. Something about something like that.
No, not yet.
What are her typical eating habits right now? What do they look like?
Typically, she packs lunches to school. It could a typical lunch would be like a turkey sandwich, Gatorade, applesauce, and some type of fruit, whether it be fresh or sometimes the fruit cups. And she always has water or lemonade or something. And for dinner, pretty much prepared meals for dinner. And breakfast, it depends on her mood in the mornings. So breakfast could be, it would be a cold cereal, or she likes brioche toast with jelly. And on the sandwich, it would just have mustard. She only likes mustard on it.
Is she involved in any physical, like routine exercise?
The only exercise is at school, but she's extremely hyper, so she's always running. And that's whether at school, at home, or she's always moving. But as far as a exercise program, she does not have.
Are there other siblings in the house?
One other.
Has she been, her thyroid been tested or any other further testing, like disease or anything like that that runs in the family or that she might have?
Hypo runs in the family, but her testing, she did not have. Everything came back okay, other than her allergies and her, I think her pulse fire rate. I think her SED rates are high.
Okay.
But her allergies was the biggest thing.
So she had like a normal thyroid?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you all for these great clarifying questions. Any other questions out there?
Is the school and are they aware of all her, of course, her allergies and things like that?
Yes, yes. With school, she sits at an allergy table. So for kids that have allergies, and she typically doesn't eat any snacks or anything other than what's prepared for that she takes to school.
Is it possible, Tracy, that she's sneaking snacks behind mom's back? If the snacks aren't like put away properly, that maybe at night she's kind of raiding the snack cupboard?
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes. But that is after, well, now that she's on her medication has changed.
Mhm.
They were thinking that the medication is what's causing her to eat more because the night psych meds are new. So it causes her to have cravings and things. And we just, the testing came back in May with all the allergies that we're finding out about.
Have they talked with a pharmacist about like all the possible maybe like what do you call that, you know, that the medications doesn't you know, cause any kind of oh my god, what's the word,
Yes.
you know, like side effects and things like that, or
Yes. Yes, and that's what prompted the change to the night meds, because she is
Okay.
an insomniac, and the first meds that she was on, it didn't help her sleep. And so she basically in a 24-hour period could get 2 to 3 hours of sleep. And then the medication was causing her hunger even more. And so it was changed. And so now she actually sleeps about 4 to 5 hours during the night. So she's not up eating, but she probably still does, you know, if she has to go to the bathroom or something, she probably still sneaks to the cupboard or something.
Is it possible to get her reassessed for some other medications, since these medications are causing her such havoc, like weight gain and loss of sleep? Like, has mom considered getting her meds reevaluated?
Yes, the meds were changed in February, and the new meds are what's helping her to sleep.
Okay. Okay.
Has the mom
Because
to any training or taken any classes on how to handle the different chronic illnesses she may have?
with all the new, it's progressing slowly. So and that's why I'm trying to get maybe a little bit more information and to be able to provide, because it's can be stressful too with a kid that has so many allergies and you have no idea what to feed them.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Again, appreciate it. I'll open it up to Carmela now for some clarifying questions. Just want to make sure we can have time for everything today as well. But if any other questions are lingering, feel free to share them when Carmela is done, or you can also type them into the chat and we can get to them that way as well.
Thank you. Great questions. I think those are all really helpful to know a little bit more about this person. I did have just a couple more questions. Tracy, you mentioned that she had gained 25 pounds in the last 10 months. But when she started that new medication in February, did the weight gain slow down?
Her last weight was, yes, it hasn't gone up anymore. It went up a couple pounds and then she started sleeping. And so it's kind of like stabilized the last month or so. It's been pretty stable.
Nice, nice. And she seems pretty tall. When I put her on the growth chart, she's actually at the 90th percentile for height. So she seems pretty tall as well.
Yes,
right?
Yes, she was a preemie and was actually in the 10 percentile. And then at 3, she just started shooting up. And then over the last year or so, she grew.
Yeah. Okay. And then I just a quick question about her beverages. You had mentioned that she has Gatorade like at lunchtime for school. Do you know if she has any other beverages that are similar to Gatorade? So whether juice or soda that she might drink?
No soda, but it alternates, the drinks alternate between like the juice packets, the Capri Suns or the Kool-Aid juice packets, and the Gatorade or Crystal Light.
She likes Crystal Light, huh?
Yes.
Nice, nice. Okay, and then just one real fast question, actually two. One, has she been referred to see a dietitian?
No.
Okay. And then secondly, how do you know how she is during the school time and then coming home in regards to her appetite? I know that's kind of changed and maybe improved a little bit since the medications were adjusted, but how does she seem when she comes home? Is she ravenously hungry? Do you know? Have anybody mentioned that she just eats a lot when she gets home from school, or how does she, just curious on that?
At school, she typically eats probably 80% of what's packed for her. And when she gets home, she's acts as if she's very hungry. And then she'll, at dinner time, she's ready, for dinner. But I believe at school, because she wants to play, because they only get a certain amount of time, I think she's eating throughout the day because they have like snack periods and things like that. So I don't think she's eating it in one setting.
Okay, thanks, Tracy. Those were my questions.
I saw one question came in through the chat. Did she experience a tragic situation recently?
Not recently. She had death in the family. It'll be 2 years September, where her grandmother passed away, and she was there when she passed.
Thank you. I also have one clarifying question. Sounds like she's has time at school to be active, but do you know how many minutes or hours per day she's active on average?
On average per day, I believe it's 45 minutes of the total recess times. And then there's PE once a week that I believe is 30 minutes.
Okay. And then do you know if she does any activity outside of school?
No extras.
No extra. Okay. Thank you. I think that other than all those other great questions, I think those were very similar questions to what I had. So thank you all for asking them. We're going to ask Carmela here to quickly summarize the case before we transition to the recommendations. Any final clarifying questions before we hand it off to Carmela for a quick summary?
Someone asked what her, if she had a thyroid test, and her last TSH was 1.78, and the T4 free was 1.2.
And those were in the normal range, right? Correct, Tracy?
Yes, okay. Yes, and her A1c was 4.8. Okay. Fasting.
What's the date on those? When were they drawn?
May 28th of 21.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'll hand it off to Carmela now for a quick summary.
Okay, so we have a 7-year-old girl who is dealing with a lot of allergies, food allergies included with that, and has gained a significant amount of weight in the last 10 months, so about 25 pounds. She has since had her medications adjusted, and it seems like her weight loss her weight gain has slowed down a little bit, and her weight's more so holding steady. She's somewhat active with school activities and is generally a hyper child. She is on 4 different type of medications to help in managing her allergies, as well as her asthma and her anxiety and her ADD. She is seeing a physician for her anxiety who's helping support the medications, and really looking for some support to help her given her allergies and her weight gain recently. So that was our main question. How do we help the 7-year-old who is dealing with that and many things?
Cool. Thank you, Carmela. Tracy, anything you would add or correct to that summary?
No, that pretty summarized it.
Cool. Thank you. So now we'll transition to recommendations. What thoughts do you all have for Tracy to help her answer this question as far as recommendations on how to provide some nutrition with all of these allergies, or good nutrition with all of these allergies?
I would say absolutely refer to a dietitian or a nutritionist to help with the diet, and help maybe with the parents with more education, or classes for support on how to better support her.
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate those. Any other recommendations or thoughts out there?
I would definitely have her drink more of the Crystal Light and water versus those fruit juices that are very high in sugar. I would talk to mom about sticking with the Crystal Light or maybe some sugar-free alternatives.
The like the little juice packet things that she drinks, they say sugar-free.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, there's a lot of good alternatives out there, but those juice packs, like the Capri Suns, those are really high in sugar. So I would try to avoid those.
Okay.
Or maybe water with the flavors, with the squeezy flavors.
Yeah, those are good too.
Also, try to bank on the things that she likes, make them into a positive. Like if she likes bread, maybe try to find alternatives that have more fiber content, and kind of sneak in, things like vegetables and stuff there's a lot of very creative recipes out there where you can actually put vegetables in brownies and things like that. Use like day sugars instead of like regular refined sugars. So it's a lot of information out there on that. So obviously some type of education for the parents will be good, but there's a lot of things that could be added and bank on the things that she already likes.
I think that also, I know she's only 7, but I think teaching her to read labels would be very beneficial as well. And it could be made almost like a game with her. Kind of make it a fun, turn it into something fun and make it the important thing before she eats or put something in her mouth to read the label.
I'll suggest get a referral for the nutritionist.
I know she's seeing a physician, but maybe like a therapist to help with the anxiety, because I feel like that might have to do with the overeating, maybe.
Like an emotional eater. Yeah.
I agree with Pam to teach parents as well as the patient to read labels, because like this Crystal Light, it says no calories, but it is sweetened by aspartame, which is not good for you. So you need to read labels, because there's so many marketing gimmick that you just have to watch out for, because Crystal Light, you thought, oh, it's healthy because it has 0 calories, but it has aspartame, which is not good.
Great, thanks everybody. Want to just clarify a couple of the recommendations that just came in. So Tracy, sounds like this person's seeing a psychiatrist, but doesn't have like a therapist or behavioral health specialist. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, cool. And so the thoughts from Maria was to add that person onto the team. And then, yeah, with the sugar substitutes, I guess Carmela will probably elaborate more on that, but it's what we're drinking is more complicated than it seems, I guess would be the the summary there, and I'm still learning, and I'm learning today too, as far as all the different ways to think about it.
Yeah.
Great. Any other recommendations out there, or what other recommendations are out there?
Maybe add more activities.
How about talking to the school, and I don't know if mom, like if you say she's like extremely hungry when she gets home, probably having like more talking to the school and just making sure, you know, she has a bigger lunch and she has like snacks in between before she's I don't know, like sometimes last recess, maybe give her something that would satisfy her before she gets home. Instead of like, I feel like probably she's binging when she's eating dinner. So just more frequent eating.
She takes her own snacks and lunch to school because of the many allergies that she has.
I think it could also help for the parents, if possible, maybe to join some kind of a support group, like with other parents in the same situation. So maybe they can exchange ideas and feel more supported in that type of way, so she can feel more confident in helping the child.
Cool. I also see a comment here in the chat from Martha about after school activity, something she might enjoy and like, and that may also help with her anxiety, being more active as well. So thank you for sharing that in the chat. I'm gonna, just to be conscientious of time, I'll kind of transition and open it up to Carmela for her recommendations.
Great recommendations, many of them that I was thinking as well. So it's great to hear there was some consistency there with many of you guys already giving some suggestions. Tracy, would probably recommend that we get a referral for her and her family to see a dietitian. I think just to help support, you know, as she gets older and as this progresses with this new medication, it might just be good to have somebody who's part of the team to monitor her weight and just kind of see how things go, so she doesn't go too far between getting some support. So in addition to that, might be really helpful for meal ideas and snack ideas, given some of her allergies that she has. I think that that's really important. So that's a big recommendation from my perspective. Especially support with just how to help her. I think when we consider children, and this goes with any person, but we have to be really mindful about how we talk to people about their weight. We don't want to stigmatize or create blame. And there's a lot of judgment that can happen, especially with gaining a lot of weight in a short time period. So that's the other perspective I have too, is having somebody there to help just with the conversation and how to approach some of that. But I have to say that it does seem like you guys, you know, figured out with the doctors and the maybe family, what maybe was a big contributor to the weight gain. So just because her weight gain has slowed down, I think that that's really important. We don't want children to lose weight necessarily, but we want to support healthy weight gain. So by slowing down that weight gain, I think on the right track for sure. I definitely want to reiterate, there's a lot of great value in helping her to drink sugar or non-sugar containing beverages. It's really easy to absorb a lot of calories and sugar from calorie or sugar containing beverages. So juice, soda, all of those, Gatorade, that sort of thing. So water is probably one of the best hydrating things we can have. I know for myself, when I drink juice or something that's sweetened, I don't feel hydrated. I feel more thirsty. So maybe that could be a contributor to, I believe one of her medications like the Adderall might cause dry mouth as a side effect. So drinking lots of water would be potentially really helpful for her. Maybe she needs cold water. Maybe she needs room temperature water. Maybe she got a fancy water bottle with a straw and some, you know, stickers. Sometimes that can be motivating for me personally. So 7-year-old, it might help. From a non-nutritive sweetener standpoint, if I can just say, aspartame is one of the most heavily studied non-nutritive sweeteners that we have. And we have mostly studies in adults, not necessarily in children. So if we really want something sweet, I probably wouldn't do more than 1 per day. So if she's going to be doing Crystal Light or any of the sugar-free drinks, probably no more than 1 a day, but I think 1 is fine. If it helps give her something sweet tasting and she wants that, that would be okay to do.
Okay, so the Crystal Light, it needs to be cut.
I think at least 1 8 to 12 ounce amount a day would be fine to do. But then I would really work on just finding ways that she does like to drink water. I saw Pam's comment just come in, maybe water with some frozen fruit. That's a great one. I have a lot of people that like spa water, so lemon or cucumbers or lime, or for example. But again, I think it could also interfere with her not feeling like finally quenching her thirst by having some of these sweet flavors. May take time. It may not be easy in the beginning, but I think with time and practice, it might help. Ooh, carbonated water. Sabrina just mentioned that. Oh yeah, for sure, right? We've got LaCroix. We've got, not LaCroix, actually. We've got, what's those sparkling waters?
What about the sparkling ice? They're sparkling water. They're supposed to be non-sweetened, but I think they have some type of sweetener in it though.
Yeah, those ice drinks, they do. I believe they do have some aspartame in it. There's bubbly, there is, which don't have those. So there's like a lot of sparkling. The one is like, AHA is another one. Sabrina just said there's another one that's like on the tip of my tongue. I can't say it. Where is it in my brain?
Topo Chico. Mordechai here.
What's that?
Topo Chico. It's,
yeah.
That's a sparkling
Pellegrino. Yeah, all of those, you can even get that attachment to make your water bubbly as well. So maybe, maybe that would be helpful. There's lots of brands and stores these days, Pam's mentioning. I agree. I think if she maybe walked that aisle of sparkling waters and got to pick out some of them, maybe that would be a good, I also think for her to be able to participate in for her choices.
Okay.
So those are my recommendations. I mean, I think that's a good place to start. We never want to overwhelm any person. And I think, again, a lot of great suggestions were given and a lot of good initial steps. Certainly fruits and vegetables are also another really great thing to recommend for her to focus on. She's 7, so if it's safe to include her in doing some things in the kitchen. Kiddos who get involved in the kitchen actually tend to feel more satiated at meals by participating in the cooking part. So there's, kid safe knives that she could do some chopping. She could stir some things and kind of just participate. That could also be something really helpful for her too.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds.
Mordechai here. So Tracy, we'll be, Carmela and I will be typing out, we've been taking notes, we'll be typing out all these recommendations, sending them to you in an email too, so you can kind of review them later. So just wanted to give you that heads up as well. Again, we want to make sure there's enough time for Carmela here, but I just wanted to share just a couple thoughts. And I want to just echo what Carmela has already shared and many of you have shared, that lots of great ideas. Really sounds like this person and their family are on the right track with figuring out what was going on. Sounds like made some positive changes with medications and things are, and really the kind of questions is how do we deal with these other things that are evolving in this relatively young person. I take care of older people in general, and so I think that's just one disclaimer I have to throw out there, but I'll just kind of, I think some of this is still pertinent, so I want to make sure I share it. Whenever people start to have things they're going to be living with their whole life, medical issues, really getting an interdisciplinary care team or a multidisciplinary care team, you really need lots of different brains, lots of different hats involved. And so I think that team is already building. And so I think there were some great recommendations here on how to continue that, to build the team and support this person and their family. And so I really want to echo that. That's just a theme that I'm hearing, and think that's really important. And it's really tough to have all the answers on your own. That being said, adding the dietitian, I think, is key to answering your main question with what foods to do, just because it's a little complicated. There's a lot of history that I'm sure you've tried with specific medications, how she's medications, how this person's reacted to the food, that they've eaten. And so all those details are super important as you go forward, and talking with the dietitian is, I think, key there. Also, a lot of these things, the medication, antipsychotics, the risperidol or whatever sister or brother medication we're on, they cause metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is high cholesterol, high blood pressure, weight gain, and decreased glucose control, or essentially kind of diabetes. And so that's when people say metabolic syndrome, they're referring to that constellation of 4 things. And these medications, the risperidol and other, set people up for that to happen. That's a side effect that was referred to. And so it's really tough to, no matter what you do in your life, no matter how active you are, no matter how great your diet is, these medications will tend you towards gaining weight, being obese, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. And the younger we are, the more time these medications have to create significant effects on our lives. And so super important that we kind of keep that in mind and realize not everything is in our environmental control, and kind of understand those things. Then the last thing I'll share, and this was, I learned this kind of in one of our previous cohorts with Carmela, because I was always aware that adults need, 150 minutes of activity a day, moderate activity. And so that's about 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. But kids under 17, they need a whole hour of activity every day. And so whatever we can do to get up to that point, I know I'm still working on my 150 minutes, and I always have a peak during the nutrition echoes because I get more active. But just want to make sure that we do recommend that this person be at least an hour a day if possible. Super tough with COVID. If you're in Northern Nevada, there's lots of smoke up here, so even tougher. And so want to just make sure I emphasize that too, is getting active a lot. And when people are more active, they just tend to feel better as well. And so I know there are lots of other symptoms going on too. So want to make sure activity is on there as well. Only took 4 extra minutes. Sorry, Carmela. So we'll hand it over back to Carmela for her didactic. We'll be typing this out for you, Tracy. Sorry to rush it here at the end. I just want to make sure you all have a chance to listen to Carmela's great talk.
Thank you.
Great. I'm opening the presentation now.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I kind of planned for about 15 to 18 minutes, so I might rush through a little bit faster because I do want to respect your guys' time. You will get a copy of the presentation slides. So if there's one that you kind of want to go back and look through, you're welcome to. First thing we're going to talk about dietary guidelines that we have that are released every 5 years that are really helpful for us when we're talking to people about their diet and exercise. And then we'll talk about ways to really implement some of those guidelines with the My Plate and what I like to call easy wins. Next slide, please. This one I'm going to leave. We'll come back to this next week. But if for those of you who were not familiar with what hemoglobin A1c is, I believe it was Irene last week who mentioned to us it's a 3-month average of your blood sugars. And this kind of just puts into context what might be goals for that A1c when it comes to ages, as well as other chronic conditions that we might have, which typically is between that 6 and 8%. So if you happen to see somebody's A1c and you're wondering to yourself, I wonder what it should be, this can be a helpful handout to support that. But we'll come back to that later on. Next slide, please. So today we're going to talk about what we eat, how active we are, in addition to good self-management skills like sleeping and taking care of our stress levels, for example, are really impactful when it comes to our health, including our blood sugars. And one of the things that we know is what we eat every day, following a healthy diet, and what does that even look like, can be something that we can support people with by repetitive, helpful tips and strategies, as well as handouts and resources to be able to support them with doing that. So that's where the dietary guidelines come in. What should we be telling people, right? What are some of the things that we want to encourage people to do? Well, every 5 years, the Dietary Guidelines for Healthy Americans are released, and it's an evidence-based tool to help us in focusing on what messages do we want to send to people in regards to what should we tell them to be eating, or what are some things to look out for with their diet, as well as educational materials that support that. And one of the things that is often included are key recommendations to help people with making good, healthy food choices. Next slide, please. And there are 4 key recommendations. We're really going to focus on just the last 2. So I've highlighted number 3 and 4. So this one, number 3, is to encourage people to focus on eating all food groups. We'll see those in just a second, by emphasizing nutrient-dense foods that are also not high in calories. So really working on eating fruits and vegetables, whole grains, dairy products that are low fat, and lean proteins in a healthy portioned out plate. Along with that, we have specific recommendations to limit foods and beverages that are high in a couple of things: high in added sugars, foods that are high in saturated fat. That's the type of fat that's found in animal foods and is clogging of the arteries type of fat, as well as limiting sodium and then alcohol, of course, for adults. So those are the 2 key recommendations that we have, where the material we're going to talk about to support that will kind of help give you something that maybe might be helpful when you're working with your clients. Next slide, please. The first tool I have is the My Plate. Just quick raise of hands. How many of you guys have seen the My Plate before? Perfect, great. So choosemyplate.gov, if you've not been to that website, they've done a really good job with revamping it over the last couple of years. And I think it's a really great place to check out. They have a kitchen section, I should say, to kind of help with recipes and cooking strategies. But essentially, My Plate is a visual way of setting up our plate for most meals. I know that it probably works better for lunch and dinner, but I think it could certainly work for breakfast too, where we're setting up our plate, a 9-inch plate that includes food groups that support us with getting in all of our nutritional needs. So you can see here, next slide, please. We've got fruits and vegetables, which are 2 different food groups on the left side of the plate. Then on the right side of the plate, we have grains, hopefully whole grains, so high fiber ones, beans, legumes, that sort of thing. And then protein is another quarter of the plate. So lean proteins like skinless, boneless chicken breasts, sirloin, beef, for example, maybe eggs, or cottage cheese, for example, which kind of also goes into that dairy cup visual that you see there towards the right of the plate as well. But when people see this way of setting up their plate, often it can be a really good trigger just to remind ourselves that's kind of the goal, right? Is to incorporate fruits and vegetables at mealtime. Incorporate carbohydrates that provide us with good energy, and fiber, which is the grains, and then the protein, which is also very important for keeping us full so that we don't get hungry in an hour. So all of those foods, in addition to dairy, whether we sprinkle some cheese on our pasta, for example, or we have a side of yogurt or milk, helps us to get in all of our nutrition, which is all of our vitamins and minerals that we need, but also the macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, and healthy fats as well. So I keep this in my office. I have it on my wall, and I show people this a lot just to kind of ask them, is this how you set up your plate? And if it isn't, what can we do to help get it closer to looking like this? And it's a great way of kind of brainstorming with them. Like I hear a lot, I don't have any fruits and vegetables often on my plate. And that's a good thing to kind of see. I should have half of my plate of fruits and vegetables. So this is a really helpful way to help in implementing what we mentioned with those key recommendations from the Dietary Guidelines, which was incorporating nutrient-dense foods within an appropriate calorie level. And one way that does that is by having all those foods as much as we can. If maybe we only have veggies instead of fruits, for example, which is fine, is that we have less room for those other foods that sometimes it's easy to overconsume. For example, a lot of times I see people when they sit down, when they have like spaghetti, they sit with just a plate of pasta and meat sauce, right? You could argue there's some vegetables in that sauce, perhaps, but we want to add to that plate half of it, maybe some broccoli or a salad or some green beans or any vegetable that you like to help us, which will decrease the portion of the other foods, which decreases the calories, but then it helps give us more nutrition, fiber, and volume that we can add to our plate to support us. So what about exercise? Next slide, please. There are also key recommendations. Dr. Louie already kind of mentioned these as well. So for adults, it's 150 minutes per week, divided up in any way that works for you. But a lot of times it's a good way to look at 5 days a week, 30 minutes. But we also want to include muscle strengthening exercises. So this could be resistant bands, dumbbells, machines in a gym, for example, canned foods, which I used to do when I was in high school. Anything that creates a resistance for you, we want to do that 2 or more days per week. Children are different. We want to do 60 minutes a day. So it's not a weekly recommendation, it's a daily recommendation. Okay. So how do we bridge what we just talked about with helping people to have lasting change or lasting behaviors that support them, not just now, but in the future as well? That's where we talk about easy wins. So what are easy wins? Easy wins, I like to think of it as, what is something someone that you're working with is willing to do right now, and they feel very confident in doing right now? Meaning sometimes it's easier to say, I can add in 1 cup of fruit and vegetable a day versus saying, I'm going to get in 5 cups a day. Maybe somebody is not able to do 5 cups of fruits and vegetables a day, and that's okay. Maybe I start with 1. Maybe I work to be consistent with that. If we do small changes consistently, that will help us to be able to see a larger impact down the road. So I have a few handouts, actually 3 handouts. So next slide, please. Sorry, 1 more slide. That shows you how easy wins kind of end up when we're consistent with them. I do not recommend giving this to children because we don't need to focus on pounds at all. But I do think for adults, maybe somebody who is looking to lose weight, this is a fine handout to give. But it just gives you an idea of how making 1 change with 1 beverage per day that has calories in it. So I'm not talking about diet soda or Crystal Light, but regular soda or juice or Gatorade or even alcohol. By reducing by 1 or replacing it with a calorie-free beverage, how much weight you could lose in a single year. And some people find that really helpful to see, well, okay, I don't want to eliminate soda entirely. I don't think I can do that, but I can decrease it by 1. And that would lead to weight loss overall. If blood sugar is a concern, more so for somebody than their weight, this is a different way of looking at it, because how many of us would think about putting 5 sugar packets in our juice, right? That's a lot. That's a lot of packets. 10 packets in soda, 17 packets in sweet tea. It's incredible. So that sometimes is helpful to get that perspective of how much sugar we might be consuming in some of these beverages that aren't helping us. If you've not seen Rethink Your Drink Nevada, Jamie Benedict did a great job with being able to give resources, school handouts and posters and good suggestions on alternatives for high nutrition containing beverages that include like protein, for example, that isn't just sugar. That is really helpful. So if you've not checked out Rethink Your Drink, that's a really great resource for you too. Okay, I know we're about the end, so I'll just wrap this up real fast. Another easy win is fruits and vegetables. When we talked about my plate, we need to include more fruits and vegetables. If I could give 2 main messages that are often helpful to check in with people. Are we drinking our calories? Let's work on that if we are. Are we eating enough fruits and vegetables? Vegetables are vegetables and fruit are nutrient dense and they're low in calories compared to a lot of other foods. And we can save a lot of calories and still feel more full and satisfied by incorporating them. And these just give some calorie comparisons with some of these foods. Again, you'll have these handouts if you find them helpful as well. Next slide. Here's a great website, fruitsandveggies.org. I love this website. Really great suggestions. I recommend all fruits and vegetables, canned, fresh, frozen. They're all good. And we want to encourage everybody, whatever they can get their hands on is what they should eat. And then last slide is encourage people to focus on what they can do now and encourage them to be consistent with it. It's much better to help somebody to be consistent with one small change than to ask them to do something that they can only do once or twice. And that is good enough for a lot of people. Ask them about what they're drinking, ask them to eat more fruits and vegetables, and that will definitely be two key things that help a lot of people. That was fast. Sorry to rush through it so quickly. Had a lot more to say, but that's okay. So next week, we're going to be talking about carbohydrate counting and tools. We can add in a little bit more there as well. But do we have any questions? I'm happy to answer any.
When you said the moderate exercise, I'm sorry, it's strengthening is included in the 150, or is that a
Maria, good question. It is included as part of those 150 minutes. Great. Yep. Although you can always do more. We don't have to limit people to 150, right? Yeah. Other questions or comments?
I just wanted to say thank you for all the information from everyone, because it actually, some of the things I didn't even think of at all, wouldn't even consider. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy,
Thank
for
you,
being the
guys.
first person also to share with us. So thank you.
Also,
guess
Tracy, there was one thing I was going to mention is my kids, I get for mine, my 7-year-old boy, it's called Radish, and it's a monthly subscription box, and you can do 3, 6 months subscription box, and it comes with a recipe, and it's really healthy, and it comes with cooking tools. So us parents go out and shop with our 7-year-old, bring it home, and they use their cooking tool to make this recipe. And my 7-year-old is in love with this subscription, and it makes it exciting for him to receive it every 3 months, or you can do it monthly, and it's really reasonable. And I think that might be something that might be helpful for her to like cooking and also eating better, and she gets a special treat.
It's called Radish.
It's called Radish. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.